Welcome to the movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take good care. Shadow or Ying is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. One of the representatives of ancient Chinese kings and nobles, named Shadow, who must bravely risk his life to prove his loyalty to his master. The movie begins with Commander Ziyu, who has just arrived at the king's palace and announced to others that he has challenged Yang Song to a rematch to reclaim the city of Jing, which was occupied by Yang Kingdom for the next few years. Lost in a duel with Yang Song, the king of the Pei Kingdom was furious and thought the duel was a bad idea because it would destroy the alliance, but the commander made it clear that it was a necessary action for his kingdom. After the commander left with his wife Xiao Ai, the king told his minister, Lu, that he planned to marry his beloved sister, Qing Ping, to Yang Song's son named Yang Ping to keep the peace between them while also showing them that Ziyu is acting alone. That evening, at the commander's residence, Xiao Ai secretly enters a room connected to a cave, where the seriously injured real Commander Ziyu tries to create a similar wound on the chest of the fake Ziyu, whose real name is Jingzhou. He was deliberately recruited as a replacement commander, known as the Shadow, to retake Jing City. He was adopted by Ziyu's uncle when he was 8 years old because he looked like Ziyu and was trained to be a kind shadow. From then on, Qin Chao wanted to repay him for saving his life 20 years ago. Ziyu promised that he would let Jingzhou see his mother again after the battle was won. Afterwards, Jingzhou and Xiao Ai returned to their residence, where she taught Jing to play the guzheng, a Chinese zither. In the bedroom, the fake commander chose to sleep on the floor because he was not Qiu Ai's real husband. The next day, during an emergency meeting called by the king, the fake commander Ziyu wanted to be beheaded as punishment for declaring war on Yang Song. However, the king refused and decided to revoke his command. Before being sent away, the king asked to see Yang's sword wound on his chest. When the king applied ointment to the wound, he noticed that the wound seemed to be fresh. Ziyu pretended that the original wound had healed and that he had deliberately cut his chest as a reminder of his greatest shame. He declared that the wound would never heal until they successfully recaptured Jing City. Everyone in the room, including the king, believed him and let him go. After the trial, the king mocked Ziyu's self-inflicted act, but his sister considered it an honorable act and accused her brother of being a coward. Back in the cave, Jingzhou continues training with the real commander, who imitates Yang's fighting style to better prepare him for the upcoming match. Unfortunately, Jingzhou, who armed himself with a metal umbrella weapon, was unable to land a single blow on the commander. Ziyu ends the training by showing off the final blow he received from Yang, then becomes extremely angry at his replacement for still not focusing. On the other hand, the king of Pei finally received a response from the Yang family about the marriage proposal. However, Yang Ping offered to take Qing Ping as his concubine. He also gave them his dagger as an engagement gift. There was no doubt that the king decided to accept the proposal, which made Qing Ping extremely angry because she was not informed of the plan at all. General Tian, who considered this offer an insult, finally spoke up, shouting that their kingdom would perish under the king's rule. Outraged by this statement, the king dismissed him from his post. When the general walked out of the room, the king tried to shoot him with an arrow, but he missed. Before the king shot the second arrow, Qing Ping intervened and finally accepted the marriage proposal. Meanwhile, in Qin Town, Duan Thuan tests his son's fighting skills in a duel. After training, Yang Song was impressed at how Commander Ziyu, who was Jing Chu, had fully recovered from his injuries, but his son was optimistic that Pei would not cause them any trouble since the king had just fired his two best warriors. Back in the cave, Qin Chao is ready for the next training session. Before starting, Xiao Ai suggested that Jing Chu adopt a gentle and slow fighting style, as the metal umbrella weapon symbolizes Ying in Chinese philosophy, associated with water and femininity. Because of Yin and Yang, she believed it would be more effective against Yang Song's fierce and tough fighting style, which symbolizes Yang or fire. Xiao Ai directly demonstrates the female fighting style, and it is effective. Ziyu still doesn't believe her and tells her to cooperate with Jingzhou. Using this technique, the two men also avoided Yang Song's signature move. Ziyu finally realized that it worked, deducing that there was hope of defeating Yang Song. After that, Jingzhou was fired. In the middle of the forest, Jing Chu, as Commander Ziyu, meets the former General Tian and tells him that he has finally found the winning technique to defeat the Yang Kingdom. He then gave him the flute and ordered him to train hundreds of prisoners recruited by Ziyu. He then took Tian to meet the real Ziyu, where he explained to General Jing Chu his role as a shadow and his plans to become king after taking over Jing City. He also intended to promote Tian to commander if that happened. The next day, Tian begins a training session with the convicts, telling them to use their umbrella weapons with feminine movements to defeat Yang's sword techniques. Meanwhile, Xiao Ai, Ziyu, and Jing Zhou drink tea together because tomorrow is D-Day of the match and the commander is optimistic about the results. When the two return to the room, Qin Chao admitted to Xiao Ai that he was willing to obey the commander for her. Since this is their last night together, Xiao Ai decides to sleep with him while being watched through a secret hold by Ziyu. In the morning, Jing Zhou arrived at Jing City, bringing Yin Yang Arena with him, and challenged Yang Song to a duel as agreed. Yang Ping felt something was wrong when he came to town alone. It turned out that Tian and 100 prisoners were waiting on the platform. They secretly dived into the water to enter the city without being detected. At the same time, Tian was surprised to see Qing Ping sneak in between them. In the arena, the duel using the best-of-3 fighting format finally began. The first battle was easily won by Qin Chao. However, Yang Song managed to cut Jing Zhou's chest in the second round and won that round. In the final round, Jing Zhou used her feminine moves to block Yang's signature sword strike, causing the sword to be thrown backwards. Yang reacted quickly, retrieved the sword, and launched a counterattack, hitting Jing Chu in the knee. He suggested calling it a draw since Jing Zhou could survive 3 rounds, but he insisted on continuing the duel, meaning it would be a duel to the death. While most of the guards' attention was focused on the duel, the convicts sneaked into the city and began exterminating the remaining guards. They then took out their new metal umbrella weapons and began spinning forward to avoid the incoming arrows while also taking out the defenders with crossbows. Close combat between the guards and the condemned men finally took place. When a condemned man was about to take down Yang's banner, Yang Ping appeared and killed him. A moment later, Qing Ping also appeared and beat him but was then slashed in the stomach. As he walks towards her, he questions his decision to join the fight. He thinks women should cook and do other things at home. As he got closer to her, Qing Ping stabbed him with the dagger she received as an engagement gift, killing him instantly. The banner was then overthrown by Tian and the city of Jing was finally recaptured. In the middle of the final battle, Yang Song was distracted by the falling banner and eventually became angry. As he prepares to finish him off with one of the umbrella's blades, Jing Chu quickly breaks the blade, causing it to slit Yang's throat and kill him. In the evening, Jing Zhou returns to her childhood home in Jingtown to see her mother, but finds that she has been stabbed to death. Suddenly, some assassins appear and try to kill him. Fighting ensued, and the assassins almost killed him until a messenger came to his aid. He then told Jing Chu that he was sent by the king and brought him back to the Pei Kingdom. Meanwhile, the king was extremely shocked when he saw his sister's body. The next day, the king and others celebrated the recapture of Jing City, and the king personally congratulated the fake commander for this feat. At the same time, several assassins, on orders from the king, arrived at Ziyu's residence to assassinate Ziyu's real commander. Back in the hall, the king suddenly dismissed everyone in the room except Lu, Xiao Ai, and Jing Chu. It turns out that the king knew that Lu had been reporting to Yang the whole time and ended his life as a traitor. Surprisingly, the king also knew that Qin Chao was Tunok's shadow and asked him to become the new commander because the king believed that he was loyal and obedient. Just then, an assassin arrives in the room with a box containing Ziyu's head. However, the box was empty and the assassin stabbed the king from behind. He then takes off his mask and reveals himself as Ziyu. Ziyu then provokes Jing Chu by telling him that it was the king who ordered Jing Chu's mother to be killed. He then ordered his shadow to finish off the king to avenge his mother. When Jing Chu searched for the sword, Ziyu intended to kill him from behind, but Shadow was prepared and stabbed Ziyu repeatedly. He then puts his mask back on and drags the dying king's body next to Ziyu's body. He then stabbed the king to death, then deliberately placed the sword in Ziyu's hand. Jing Chu left the room and told the others that the king had been murdered, but he killed the culprit. However, Tian didn't seem to believe him. At the end of the movie, Xiao Ai ran to the door and looked towards an opening with an unclear expression. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.